Welcome, you guys. Welcome to the Thoughtful Conversations podcast. It's your girl, Monica.
Janelle here.
And we're so excited that you've tuned in today. So today we're going to be talking about thoughtful conversations from the inside out.
We're going to get into it. We're going to just jump right into this. And first question, Monica Dorsey. How do physical factors such as stress and fatigue affect our communication skills? And what strategies can we use to overcome these barriers?
Woo! That's such a good question. For one, first of all, I'm tired right now, right? We live in a society where we have a 9 to 5. You may have kids. You may have to take care of your loved ones. You may have such stress in your life that may be a builder for you. And so fatigue really does affect that. And for one, just being self-aware of are you on E, right? Have you been getting enough sleep, right? A lot of people don't know that your sleep habits really do affect your mental health in such a large capacity. And I think that you have to not only keep in mind of your sleep, right, but are you having time throughout your day where you're taking breaks? We're not robots, right? You're not infallible, right? So that just means that you have to take breaks. You have to refuel, No,
that is so real. Like you said, I'm tired too right now. We both tired. We're on E. But this is the times that you really accept you're tired.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do I move forward? Making sure am I gonna be cranky? I'm gonna be this or that.
That's it.
But then you got to just push through and then give yourself the time you need after to do what you need to do and release. But yeah, that's really true, friend. You gotta just, in this big age of ours, it's really comes down to understanding okay, this is a reality. How do I get to work through this and let's do it.
And just knowing that you are going to be more snappier, right? You're going to be more quicker to respond negatively when you're tired, right? You're going to have less patience. You're going to be more stressed out. But how you react to your stressful times really do dictate not only how you are going to be effective, but also how you're going to treat people for the long haul, right? So how your relationships will be, because everything isn't honky peachy dory. We live in a society where we're always on the go, and so you do have to take that time to communicate and have those thoughtful conversations of where you're at, and hey, you may not have the capacity to listen to them in this moment in time, knowing that hey, I have to protect my space so that I can refuel and then come back to the table with, energy and effectiveness and the ability to listen to you and love you well. So
that's good. So would you say that encompasses the strategies? What are some strategies that you can kind of use to do those things? Is that would it tell me what that looks like? Strategies.
Yeah. I think strategies is first one, making sure you're in tune with your body. Are you mentally drained, right? Are you tired? Are you stressed out? What's stressing you out, right? And finding out what those key things then are, and then making time to improve your daily schedule around those stressors, right? So I am a social worker. I listen to previously incarcerated people all day, and helping them get on their feet, right? And so if I know that I am on E, right, I may not have the capacity to help, and that is going to affect my health practice, right? That affects how I'm loving them well, right? And so knowing what you're bringing to the table in the moment, right? And taking it moment by moment, giving grace to yourself. Another practical strategy is just drinking water. It's hot in Texas. It's hot in Texas, and you can be dehydrated. Your headache may be that you're suffering from not drinking any water today, right? And then making time to exercise really does help relieve stress. Another practical step I would say is just being able to seek therapy, counseling. Sometimes you're dealing with a lot heavier things, if you're going through a divorce. Some of you guys may have trauma, right? Some of you guys may have loved ones that just passed away, right? taking that time for yourself
Mm-hmm.
will not only benefit you, but it benefits those around you.
That's good. Yes. Notate it, and notate it.
Yes.
Really
All
good.
right. Let me ask you question number 2. What are the benefits of incorporating empathy and compassion into our conversations, and how can we cultivate these qualities within ourselves?
Empathy, compassion is like so vital to relationships.
It is.
You have to do that, because being able to empathize, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, can really change the narrative of how they are able to work through and process to whatever that trauma or whatever it is that they're experiencing in those moments. So it's really extremely important to be compassionate. I know some people, though, for those that maybe operate more so in a way that's kind of like, you see them memes of like, when someone's crying, you just look at it because you don't know if you should pat them or you're kind of scared. But I think sometimes just being able to sit there and just listen, and maybe a touch, I know that they say, like, scientifically, if you touch somebody, sometimes, I know being aware, some people don't want to be touched, but reading this situation and maybe even touching your hand on them can really calm somebody down, and just showing that you're there for them and being caring and being able to listen. And most importantly, you don't always have to say something. Sometimes just listening and just let them just spill, cry, and in that moment, maybe they will want to hear some advice, but you don't always have to give advice in those moments. Use discernment. Be prayerful in those time periods, because I think sometimes we want to come from a flesh and we want to tell them what we think. Well, I've been in them shoes. Wait a minute, like, this is something I have to remind myself of, and I think I saw that someone was saying, like, we have the tendency to want to share what we've been through in order to relate with what someone else has been through, to make them know, like, I'm doing it not because I want to make it about me, but I want them to feel like heard. But sometimes it can make the person feel like, oh, you just want to say something about what you're experiencing and make them feel unheard. So being mindful of when to insert what your experiences are and what they're currently going through, because it can really also change the narrative of where possibly the Lord could be leading you to discern into where they should understand what it is that they could take from the situation. So it's just a lot. I pray about everything. I pray about my pinky toe. I used to pray about my shots. I promise you, people be taking prayer lightly. Like, really go into situations and sit there and pray. Like, Lord, help me, show me, guide me. And He will do that for you. And so, what was the second part of it? It was like, what'd you say?
That's it.
No,
that's it.
Was it okay? Okay, I did. Okay, but yeah, that's just my take on that. Yeah.
All right. Question 3. What role does body language and nonverbal communication play in conveying our thoughts and emotions during conversations?
I'm gonna let you start off
Honestly,
on that one.
I used to be really bad about reading rooms,
Mm-hmm.
and it's ironic that I am in mental health. Right? However, I think that as years have gone on, it's vital now to read people, right? To be able to talk to people, to be able to love on people, to be able to, be there for people, but also to be able to, like, watch people, right? And so I think that they did a study on this, actually, and they were talking about crime scene investigations and how the interrogation process and how body language reading was so important, because it really did dictate, like, whether people were guilty or not, if they were manipulating you or not, or if they were lying or not. And it was ironic. It was very amazing how, like, your body language and the things that you do systematically in defense through trauma response really do dictate, like, where you're at and, like, how you're dealing, right? And so I think that body language is so important in conveying conversations and really understanding, is that person in the space to receive what you're saying?
That's so good. Yeah.
Because we cannot be able to be effective if we are missing the moment, right? And there is a time and there is a space that people are able to receive, and then there are spaces where they cannot, right? And so like if that person has not done the work, they can feel attacked, right? If that person has not been in any form of counseling, they can feel like you're judging them. Or, you know, if that person is more sensitive, right, you may have to deliver it in a what we call a sandwich method, right, where you're saying kind things, come in with the correction, and then follow up with a kind thing, right? Or just how you deliver things really do matter in how they receive it, and like body language really does play a part in that.
Yeah, that's so. I was just telling my mom this actually yesterday, because I was like, hey mom, like I'm all energetic, and she just seemed like she was not in a good space for that type of energy. And I was like, Mom, like what's wrong? Like she was like, I'm fine. I'm like, your body language and how you're is saying completely opposite. You cannot fool anybody with your body language like this. And just, it's so important though. Even like I think it's important to also, you know, in love, recognize that if somebody like you know, hey, you okay? Like what's going on? Like you're kind of giving me a little attitude here, like, because it's important to understand we need to be on the same page here. And if you're not, like you said, having a good day, then maybe we should reconvene. And it's a lot of love, and it's a lot of communication in that. And I think some people are scared to have that, but I think you should be a lot more scared of losing that person because of the fact that you are not conveying why you are acting the way you're acting. And I think when you're able to understand, like, okay, I'm sending off a message that is really uninviting. Let me also be a person that, knowing that I care about this person, to let them know that this is why I'm doing that. Once again, thoughtful conversations. And it takes communication skills to understand. And I really just think it takes a different level of care to do that. And so I'm like folding your, like, it's just even like in interviews, like not even just with just, you know, everyday life. Like when you go in an interview, you know, they tell you can't be here. You can't, your hands is so important, just because you may be thinking like, oh, this is my comfort space. But everybody else knows that that's a sign of either you don't care or being closed off. So it's important. So let's go to our next question. Okay, how does practicing mindfulness and staying present in the moment enhance our ability to engage thoughtfully in conversations?
Oh, that's so good. Put your phone down. Not put your phone down. Like one of the things that has helped me in the past 2 years is just like putting my phone down and just leaving it there, right? Leaving it in the other room, right? You'll be okay without your phone, right? And knowing that like when we're at dinner, right? Be present. Right? Be present. And I think that we live in a day and age where it's very hard to be present if we're always on social media. We're always looking for that text message, that email, and like knowing exactly when to put your phone down is key, right? And like giving people that time to get to know you, giving people that time to really just like be in your presence and really like get the full you, and not just like a portion of you.
That's a heavy one. That's like everything you said, everything. And I have to be mindful of that too, because even like both of us, you know, we have businesses and a lot of stuff runs through social media because you do have to be on there and be present. But it's like blocking off time, and I'm learning to do that better. Blocking off time to like, okay, post this, respond here, and then get off. Instead of just scrolling, because it's also not even good for the mind. It's not. It's like really like your mind is just I think I felt myself sometimes losing brain cells when I don't see anything that's of importance. Like, so that's why I started changing what I follow, like changing the algorithms. Now I follow a lot of like food recipe stuff and like, you know, like other stuff that make my mind. But all in all, like I feel like maybe we should go back to the times, you know, how you have to get on the desktop and get on MySpace. And no apps, just get. You have to get, if you want to access.
The day and time
on the desktop.
MySpace was a day and time. Do you hear me? 7th grade
time.
And we had the song to put on your page. We were coding back then.
Copy paste.
Coding. Okay.
Copy paste.
And then that was a time.
It was definitely a different time.
That was a time, man. All right. Next question. What role does self-awareness play in being able to have that meaningful conversation needed, and how can we cultivate greater self-awareness in ourselves?
I think we can do that by really talking to ourselves. Like I'm serious. Talk to yourself. like ask yourself, okay, in this moment in time, I'm about to go in here, and let's say I'm having a conversation with you, Monica, and whatever the topic is, once again, am I in the space to have a conversation, period? Am I in the space to visit with this person?
Yeah.
And also, I think there's times that you do have to remove the flesh of what you may not always feel like doing something. Okay, feelings can be very like objective.
Yeah.
Can't always let feelings dictate everything. But I think in those moments, talking to yourself like, hey, this is what I feel like. Now, how do I need to go in here and make sure that I present myself or be honest with this person? Like, hey, I am having this terrible day.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be as present as possible and just communicating that. But it's important to really communicate with yourself. I think the importance of self-talk is like one of the major things that I learned more so as I was moving forward in my life and like understanding what communication looks like and knowing who I am, like who am I? And that went with talking out loud. Like I'll be in my car like, okay, Janelle, like, so what am I feeling like today? Like, what do you, I mean, people probably think,
so good.
you know, like what does it look like for like what does my day look like, you know, or are you really feeling sad today? Are you feeling sad because this happened to you? Are you feeling sad because maybe this, or okay, is it like, just honestly act like you're talking, because yourself matter. You need to have that conversation. So I feel like that is number one to self-awareness, is communicating with yourself out loud. Also, it's important to get advice from like people that are around you all the time. Like ask your friends, ask your family, like, hey, like let's have some feedback. Like constructive criticism is extremely important, and I think that is something that we should understand. There's a fine line between negative criticism and constructive criticism, but I think we should want to be open to receive constructive criticism, because that's how we get better, that's how we grow, that's how we become better individuals. So asking those people in your community like, hey, like, is there some, like, let's do some checkpoints, like what are some areas you think I can get better at? And my friend here loves to play this game. It's called, was that card game, Naked, is it
We're Really Not Strangers?
We're
really not strangers.
Yeah, and it's like several different series.
Yes.
You go deep and you have a conversation, and I think it's I played that game first time with you, and it really is great, like, because you really find out these questions and you're able to understand like questions you don't even ask yourself, you know. So yeah, having a community of people around you to also help you out in understanding who you are from a outside perspective, not just internally but externally.
There's also Skin Deep. There's so many cards.
Skin Deep, that's the one we played.
There's so many like card games now that you can like really like get to know like not only your friends but also like yourself. But like, let's help the listeners out there and see like, okay, like for people that are bad at delivering messages to their loved ones or their friends or their family or their their partners or their husbands or their wives or whoever it is, how do they know the difference between constructive criticism and negative criticism, and like how to deliver that?
I think it's always important to, and I can't say you get like say it how you want to be said, because some people would be okay if someone just outright said it, because that's okay. But I think understanding that partner, whoever that person is, that friend, okay, knowing how they are, like we talked about sensitivity, knowing their sensitivity level. And this is obviously if you know this person. So, okay, this is who this person is. Now, let's say they keep leaving trash out and don't wash dishes or something. Hey, like, you know, I know that maybe this is something that like you don't realize that you're doing, but I think it would be really important if we try to work on doing the dishes, just coming with love. Like, I think coming with love, and sometimes people are like, well, I told them already, but patience, you know, God tells us patience it's the fruit of the spirit.
It's a virtue.
It's a virtue, and you have to be patient with people. God is patient with us every day. If we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we would have been cast down to hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to learn to be patient with other people and coming to them. And also something, I was in church and the pastor said this, part of that process is you picking it up for them. Maybe God, there's a lesson in there for you that you construct, you give what you feel like needs to be changed. That's good. You still need to do your part and pick up or do whatever, or
come alongside them.
Be a partner in this.
And
then as they see you, you're leading by example.
And they'll change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you're loving them through it.
Right. And it sounds like work, but it is. Relationships are work.
Hard work.
So if you want any type of successful
hard work
relationship, that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's so good. I love how you said come alongside them. Because I think that people forget that, like, after you've said it, it doesn't happen overnight, you know? And if you love that person, like, help them, you know? Because sometimes it's deeper than just, like, oh, this person wakes up at 12 o'clock every day, but, like, that person may be depressed, you know? Like, help them get to a counselor, or help them realize that, like, hey, like, there are available, you know, practices that we can help to lessen your symptoms, exercising with them. If you don't like your partner's weight, like, help them, like, come alongside them, walk with them, run with them, bicycle with them, dance with them, and love them where they're at, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing, is, like, loving people where they're at, but also, like, constructive criticism, I think, for me, comes from a loving place.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, like, your tone, your delivery, and then also, like, is it to better you? Right? Is it to better you? Is it to better who you are as a woman, a man, and how is it bettering you? Right? Yeah. Is it kind? Is it loving? Is it pure? Is it patient? Right? And like that helps in constructing constructive criticism versus negative. So
absolutely,
that's so good.
Like it.
That's so good.
I love it.
All right. Well, you guys, that is it for today. Man, I feel like we talked about so many great things today. And, like, we really dived in, and I feel like the listeners can really, like, take these little key nuggets and really use them in their day-to-day. So
little gems in your bag, take them out when somebody's they challenging me. This body language, take that gem out and just remember. So we love you guys. We're so happy that you guys have chosen to listen to us, our podcast, Thoughtful Conversations. And we really cannot wait to continue on this journey with you guys.
Yes. Follow us on Instagram at thoughtful.conversations and on TikTok at thoughtful.conversations.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.